Many people have the perception that the Christian faith is unreasonable, and this includes, tragically, young people who are in our churches. How can we help young people appreciate that Christianity is rational? And what kind of questions are young people asking, and how can we address those questions with them? Thankfully, I'm joined today by Dr. Peter Wyns, a Christian scholar and a pastor, to help with that. Peter, what do you say to a young person in your church who might have doubts about their faith or about the Christian faith in general?
Well, they have to find out for themselves. They have to come to a place where they will own it. And in order to own something, you've got to be convinced of it for yourself. It doesn't matter what other people tell you. And so the first thing that a good pastor should do, or a Christian leader, is to relate to young people, to come alongside of them, to befriend them, to interact with them at some level, and ask them how they're doing, what studies they're in, to make a bridge of contact so that there is an easy, accessible level of communication that can flow. From that place, then a young person will feel at liberty to ask a question, because often they won't even ask a pastor a question because they think they already know what he's going to say. And they feel that if they were to ask him a question that was against what he's been teaching, that they would be disrespectful toward him. And so you have to build that relationship. But then when you do, that pastor should be well studied, because he needs to give more than a biblical reason. He needs to give a life reason and an academic reason. And there are so many that can be given. One of the things that young people need to understand is that nobody is an island unto themselves in this society, and that they have already received so much information that is going to be anti-God and anti-Bible. And if they go to a liberal university, most secular universities, they're going to find that the teaching there, the instruction there, is directly opposed to the teachings of the Bible. But that doesn't mean that their teaching is always real. I remember when I was a pastor and we had so many young people in university, and it was a common thing that a university student would drop into my home on the way back from class because they were perplexed, because the professor didn't give two sides to a story. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but no matter how thin you slice the bologna, there's always two sides to it. And somebody needs to be able to say, yes, that is a way of looking at it, but look at it from this perspective. And if you travel to certain places and research certain things, there is so much more to learn. And once a young person is given a little bit of information that is intelligent, intellectual, logical, scientific, and true to life, then they start to think with a broader perspective, and they come to realize that you don't have to run away from science. The Bible doesn't run away from science, and these things can come together. Once you give maybe a book to a student, a young person, you give them some information, you give them a DVD or something from Reasons to Believe, and all of a sudden they're starting to realize that not everything that glitters is gold out there, and they start to own their faith for themselves. And this is the beginning of a great journey that will last them and keep them in a good place for the rest of their days.